But so now I'm at the limit of the XR. So let me go ahead and change it to the higher quality. Let's see if I go back here to the video resolution, and I'm going to make it as high quality as I can. So now that's standard. Hit save. Alright, hey everyone, this is Nate, and this is the Nader Tater channel. I have two new products here from Blink Security, and this one is the Blink Outdoor 4 camera, which has some really cool features, up to 2 years of battery life, and it's also the first one that supports their new long-range wireless signal, and that is paired with this new Blink Module XR. So the XR is for extended range, and I have used Blink and many other security cameras on my property. In fact, I have probably about 50 of them right now. Not all of them are active and working, but a lot of them are. And on the Blink side, I've used a lot of their Blink Mini cameras, and this is their older Blink Sync Module 2. I'll talk about the differences of this setup here versus this new one that just came out here in the fall of 2024. And so I'm going to add these to my system, and we're going to test them out. The big thing with the XR is that it is supposed to support being up to 400 feet away from the sync module for the camera, so that you can be, down to the end of your driveway or far in the backyard, wherever you need to be, supposing to do it. But there are some big downsides I want to talk about as well, and I'm going to test it in the real world. Does it actually get you that type of distance or not? So let's first open these up and just see what they are, and then we'll set them up and test them out. Alright, before we get too far, I do ask that you hit that like button down below on this video if you like this, and then also consider subscribing to my channel, which helps my channel grow, as well as shows you more of my content going forward. So if I open up the box here, one thing I will say that Blink does well is their packaging. You get a QR code as well as the easy 1, 2, 3 steps to get started, and a small pamphlet. Honestly, the pamphlet doesn't have a lot in there, much other than what it tells you here, that you need to download the Blink security app and then set this up. So underneath this little protective cover is now my Blink 4 outdoor camera. Now they tout 2 years of battery life on this thing with the included batteries, and I'll be impressed if it gets that far. I think it obviously depends on how much motion you set and how long the recordings are, and probably even how far away of the unit is from there. Sometimes a lower signal strength actually makes the battery drain down faster, at least on other wireless devices that I've seen myself. Alright, so in addition to the main camera itself, you get the mounting bracket here, which is a pretty simple mounting bracket that it just kind of clips onto. It does have an alternate bracket here. I think this gives you a 90-degree kind of turn to it, so if you want the mounting surface to be kind of vertical or horizontal, that gives you two options there. And then they include these Energizer branded batteries. These are the ultimate lithium batteries, and that's how you get the extra 2 years of life out of them versus a regular AA battery. So those are lithium batteries, which obviously cost more money if you were to go try to buy them and replace them. So it's nice that they do include those for you here on the camera. And then if we open up this Blink Sync Module XR, very similar, where you have the unit itself. So the instructions that are in there really are pretty much the same thing. Just download the Blink home monitor app and then add it to your system here. Okay, and then this one just has a USB cord here with a little wall wart adapter. Looks like it's probably going to be about a 6-foot long USB cable. It is a USB-C that actually plugs into the module itself, and then USB-A that goes into the wall wart if you need that. Pretty standard power. It's 5 volt 1 amp output on this unit here. And then the other thing is on this unit, so you can see the USB-C, the only other port this one has is a micro SD card. So this is what you'll need your own. You got to supply it, micro SD card. They advertise, or Blink advertises, that this can be up to 256 gigabytes of storage. I don't think that's a hard limit. I think that's maybe their suggestion. There's probably plenty of storage for this camera out there as well. But you'll put this in there. I'll put a link to the one that I use here. And then that's how you're going to get the local storage on here without a need for a subscription at all. But let's talk about some of the features of the unit. Or to talk about a couple things on this Blink Outdoor 4 camera. The 4 obviously means that it's the 4th generation of their cameras, so they obviously are trying to improve them. It is fairly compact and sleek here. The capability of it, they call it HD resolution, which means 1080p, which is not bad resolution, but honestly, most of my cameras I'm using around my property now are 4K resolution, which I really do like. It really helps see detail and stuff, so this does not have that. But the benefit is that you have the smaller size, you have less battery usage because of it, and you can store more hours of footage because of this lower quality. So that's something you have to weigh there, pros and cons for these different units. It obviously is outdoor rated, so it can be rained on. You don't have to protect it from that standpoint. It does have a USB-C port in the back here that has a little rubber cover. To my surprise, the rubber cover does not have any kind of permanent attachment. It does just come out fully and then it can fall off. So you want to make sure you keep that safe, because that is part of the weather tight seal, is to have that in place there when it's outside. Now it does have day and night vision, so it does have the nighttime vision that it can see in the dark, and then it also does have two-way audio. I haven't tested it yet, but I've heard that the audio maybe is a bit rough, so we'll have to see how that performs out in my real-world testing. And then they claim it has enhanced motion detection, so I haven't tested that out yet, but we'll see how it does. And then lastly, it does have person detection, so it's using like artificial intelligence, but there's a big caveat to that, and that is, in order for it to do that, you have to have their Blink subscription. So it needs to be going to the cloud in order to get that AI action to work. If you don't have that, then you're just relying on the sync module to store things, and you lose out on some of those features like that person detection. All right, so just to show you this mount in the default state, just has two screws that screw in to whatever type of surface that you're wanting to do, and then you just literally push it on, and it will clip in place here to the camera itself. It's a nice tight fit, but then you can literally just pull it off. And then if you wanted the 90-degree attachment, you just press that on first, clip it in place. A little bit hard with the wobble mount there. Once you get that clipped on, then you can take the camera here and clip it onto the secondary mount. Now you have the ability to have this at a 90-degree angle to the mount. So pretty versatile, pretty easy, but one of the downsides is that there is no real security to this. At any point, you can literally just grab the camera and pull it off, and it will unsnap itself from the unit. All right, so one quick note about the difference between the Blink Sync Module 2 and the Blink Sync XR module here is this one has a USB port for its storage, which is fine. I got a little USB stick in there. This one uses 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, as does this one. There's no Ethernet port on there, so you're going to connect to your home network with this guy. And then it does have the ability to have a its own wireless protocol that goes to the camera directly. And because it's not Wi-Fi, it is a wireless signal, but I think it's 900 megahertz, so it's a lower frequency, which allows it to travel farther. The downside to that is that it actually has worse quality, so you don't keep the full HD quality as you move further away. So that's something you'll have to play with. There is, I'll show that in a minute here, of the different modes and then how far they say that they reach. So this one is required to have internet connection in order for your motion to record and work, even though it has a local connection. So that's something that to keep in mind, is that this is not a standalone system that you're allowed to put up without internet. It does need internet to work. Okay, well, let's get this set up real fast on my network, and then we'll place this camera outside where we want it, and we'll test it to see how big of a range it really has. Alright, so first things first here, I'm just going to plug in this module for the first time. We'll get a little blue light there on the Wi-Fi signal. And let me get my tablet out to open up the Blink app. Alright, it looks like it has powered up. I have a green light for the power, and I have a flashing blue light for the Wi-Fi. And I'm assuming that's because it's not set up yet and it doesn't have a Wi-Fi connection. So now here in the Blink app, if it's your first time, you're going to get this login screen. This is just a Blink home monitor. Alright, so here's my Blink security system. Don't mind it too much. It is not super actively used, so some of these cameras are unplugged. In fact, the top one shows you that my Blink Sync module is offline, so it's kind of neat that it shows you that. But in the top right corner, hit the plus sign, and then I'm going to tell it I'm going to add a sync module. So I click that. And then here it's telling you that it needs to use your camera so you can scan a QR code. So I can take this QR code on the bottom here and scan it, and then that allows it to know what that device system is. So this is kind of interesting. Actually, it's good to know that I can only have one Blink Sync module per system. So it's kind of interesting. I guess I will create a new one for this demonstration, but ideally I probably want to get to just a single. I'll take this one off and add that one in there. I think they can do up to 10 cameras per sync module. So something to know there, that you might have to have a couple different systems if you want to have multiple sync modules. Alright, so we got the blinking blue instead of yellow, so we'll hit discover device. Alright, so this is where I now am going to tell it to connect to my home Wi-Fi, and it only does 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi systems. Alright, telling it to join that. I can see the green light now is flashing. The blue light is steady. Got a red light, and then they all went off. Hopefully that means it's set up. Now they're both steady green and steady blue. Okay, it's updating the firmware, it says now. Alright, now I got a flashing green light on the power. Hopefully that's it rebooting. Alright, now, oh, that's interesting. On here it calls it a Sync Module 3, not the Sync Module XR. But that one's been added to my system. Alright, so now I'm in my new Sync Module system called Native. I'm going to add, this time, a camera. And again, it needs a QR code, which I guess I need to open it back up here to do that. Alright, and we will let it take a picture of this. Okay, we'll add it to the Native one. Hit continue there. Alright, so now it's going to tell me that things to look for as far as ways to position the camera, things to avoid. You don't want to have a lot of moving branches or tree shrubs. That will kind of mess up the motion detect capability. And then you don't want to point it directly at the sun, because then it will be blinded and it'll get, like, kind of washed out. And then ideally you want to keep concern for people or cars in the distance that are tripping the motion detection when you don't want it to be tripped. And then the last thing that it mentions is, and this is true for all cameras that use the vision system for detecting motion, having an object come towards the camera directly is actually not the best for it to detect. It's better if they come at some kind of angle or side to side. That allows it better job of actually detecting the objects. Alright, so it is adding, I see a red light that just flashed there, but it's just taking a bit longer to add the camera to my system here. Alright, it says it was finally added successfully there. Just took 2 tries, and it did do a firmware update, so maybe that kind of confused it the first time around. Alright, and then of course it wants me to sign up for a trial, telling you that if you wanted to have a person detect capability, you do need to have that subscription. And then you can do longer live views as well. You can do up to 90 minutes of continuous live viewing, which is helpful. Now, you probably don't want to do that with battery power, but if you had a powered unit like this little mini that has a cord that plugs into the wall, that would be something that would be a nice feature to have. Alright, so I can hit the live view here and just see what it does. Probably want to rename it too, because this is this crazy name, but there we go. Alright, so I'm going to go in here to the general settings, and I'm going to rename this my outdoor 4 camera. My battery level is okay. Don't have a battery extension pack. You can change the LED statuses to tell you like when it is recording or not recording. Connection to the Wi-Fi and the sync module. So this will be interesting. For me, I actually have a really good Wi-Fi system around my whole property, including outdoors, so I do not have a problem with Wi-Fi signal anywhere on my yard area. But most people do, in that once you get outside your house and your Wi-Fi signal has to get outside your walls, you might really start to get a weaker Wi-Fi signal. And that's where the sync module signal is supposed to be better at getting through those walls and getting further in your yard. For me, I actually have, I think, 5 outdoor Wi-Fi access points. It's actually beaming Wi-Fi all around outdoors, but that's a different video altogether to go into. This is kind of neat because it does have camera temperatures. I have not seen this before, but here's a temperature alert that I can be alerted if something gets hot or cold. That could be kind of neat, even if you put this inside some type of building and you want to be alerted to if something is hotter or colder than you would expect it to be. So that's at least the general settings there for the camera. Let's see if there's anything else we can do in here. Motion detection is on. Yes, we want that. Let's go back in here to motion settings. So we want it to do motion detect, motion recording type. So let's just choose what type. Again, all motion is default. If you want person, you have to do the subscription trial. You can change your motion sensitivity. You can change your motion zone. So the zones are not freeform. What you would do is you could pick different squares that you wanted to not include. So if you have a tree that always moves or something, so maybe this isn't a great example, but let's say that this this cabinet behind me always is moving around. I could gray it out, and then it wouldn't use that movement as tripping the motion detection. So if you had a road in there or some other ones, then you could do that. All right, so let's say if you hit advanced, all it does is give you smaller squares. It looks like it gives you 4 times the resolution if you needed that to be that sensitive or not. But if you do basic, it's just the bigger squares that it's allowing you to do. So I'm going to uncheck all these. I'm going to have all of the motion actually done. And then they do have a privacy zone. Privacy would black out these areas. Oh, I see. Okay, so these privacy zones you can draw freeform, and this is going to black out, so it won't even record that coverage. It'll just be a black square in there. So I'm going to reset those. I'm not going to have any activity zones all done, so I'm going to keep that one going there. And then re-trigger time, if you don't want it to keep detecting the same motion over and over again quickly, you can adjust it from the 10-second, looks like all the way up to 60 seconds. I'm going to leave it down there at the 10 seconds so it redetects as quickly as possible. Okay, photo and video settings, you can set how long you want the motion clips. Obviously, shorter motion clips are going to take less battery time, but you might have to grab several of the clips together in order to make it worthwhile. So you can change this up to 60 seconds, but it will use more battery life. Let's see if it tells you. Yeah, it tells you on the bottom there that it's going to use up more battery life if you do that. Video quality, I'm going to make it the best possible, but again, it's going to reduce battery life. So that 2 years of coverage is not going to be at long recordings and high quality, which is not that surprising. And then end it early if the motion stops. I'm going to actually probably make mine a little bit longer. Maybe I'll make them 20 seconds. And then night vision is automatic, and then you can change IR sensitivity. You could have night vision not be on, or always off if you wanted them to be. And then photo capture, that's kind of a neat feature. It takes a picture once every hour when your system is armed, and that kind of gives you a little time-lapse history to look at as well if you needed to. So we're going to save those settings there. And now we go to audio settings. You can just adjust the speaker volume. You probably want it all the way loud if you can. Privacy settings, if you don't want it to record audio or don't want it to record video, you could tell it not to. And that's about it from the setting standpoint. So let's leave it the way it is right now and go test it outside. Alright, so here we are outside my porch. The camera is on this front post, probably hard to see, but right above the tip of my tablet there. I'm just going to walk over here and we will see how well it detects me. Should be all be armed here, and there we go. I got a motion alert on my tablet. I can see a blue LED on the camera itself, just barely right there, and then that tells me that it is recording this this sound and video. Now, if we want to see that clip, we can hit the clips here. And you can see there it's at the top. I can hit OK. Oh, this was actually me walking. This was the earlier one, so it probably takes a second. That was when I set it up. There we go. So here's the new one. And there it caught me right at the edge where I came in frame, so that was good. And then can't hear the sound. So yeah, the sound is not the best. You could hear me. I was obviously just talking normal sound, but it's very quiet sound, so I wouldn't call it spectacular, but that's not uncommon on these cameras. I can see a blue LED on the camera itself, just barely right there, and that tells me that it is recording this sound and video. Okay, so now you can see the house back there. The sync module is in the left corner there, kind of behind the flagpole, but in that front room there. So we're about 250 feet, maybe 200, to the camera that's right here on this little post in front of that tree, and it does work. Now if I click in here to my settings, I can do a live view here, and I'm just off camera, so I'm gonna get just off the camera there so that I'm not in the motion. And then let me go to these settings here. Okay, so device settings, I can go in here to general settings. You can see that it actually still has good Wi-Fi signal. It didn't before because I had to switch nodes. So it actually showed red for Wi-Fi, but then green for the sync module. So it's still showing full sync module. XR mode goes to about 250 feet, they say. XR Plus goes to 400 feet. You can only have 2 cameras on an XR or an XR Plus mode on a sync module, and you can only have 2 sync modules on your account with that. So you can have a total of possible 4 cameras in the XR or XR Plus. For any sync module, it has to be the same mode for both cameras that you have on there. If they are an XR, then they both have to be an XR. If they're an XR Plus, both have to be an XR Plus. You can't have one in XR and one in XR Plus. I'm not sure why, but you could have other cameras that are not in the XR mode. They're in the Wi-Fi mode, and that's fine. So you can mix Wi-Fi and the sync module wireless, but you can't mix different types of sync module wireless. That's not confusing enough. I don't know what is, but here on mine, I do not see an option to change it. So I think I'm just going to keep going further. Hopefully my Wi-Fi will eventually drop out and maybe it will default to the sync module. We'll find out here soon enough. But one thing to note is in the XR mode, the max quality you can get is 720p with a saver mode of 360p. In XR Plus mode, to get up to 400 feet of range, you can only get 360p, and there's no audio either. So that's something to note with the longer range, is that you're going to lose features and quality pretty quickly. All right, so let's just do a test here. I'm gonna walk by now. The camera view is not the best, probably just pointing at my legs, but I noticed that it did turn blue there. All right, so it did show up there. It took it a little bit longer. It took it took it a minute or two for it to actually, I guess, send it back to the sync module. But it looks like it was decent quality there. I can, I guess, download it and see what quality it was. This one's on Wi-Fi, so it should be the full 1080p there. So let's move it further away and just see what it does. Alright, so I found out what was wrong. I did not have the latest app update on my tablet. I was playing with my phone, which has the Blink app as well, and I noticed that I had the option to change to the XR mode. So that was a user error on my part, that my tablet did not have the latest Blink app update. So you can see now that I updated it on here, that on the top I have extended range available, outdoor forest capable. I can also just go right back in here to the settings on the camera, and now below the network strength and sync module, I do have a camera network option like the Blink instructions tell you. So that was my fault there. But and you can see here my Wi-Fi network strength is down at the red dot. I've even moved it further away from the house than before, but my sync module is a full 4 bars of green. So this is at 400, maybe a little bit under 400 feet. But here I can change this network mode. So if I'm going to go to extended range and just see if this works, because it says it's green, so I'm going to try the XR range instead of the XR Plus just to see how far it will go. And the camera, if you can see it, is right there on the ground. And so now it's saying it's an XR mode, and it looks like it is, I guess that's weak signal. It's kind of weird how this works. So it looks like that's replaced the Wi-Fi with the signal, but somehow my connection to the sync module is 2 bars. So I'm not sure what the green was. Maybe it just hadn't been updated or whatnot. But so now I'm at the limit of the XR. So let me go ahead and change it to the higher quality. Let's see if I go back here to the video resolution, and I'm going to make it as high quality as I can. So now that's standard. Hit save. All right, and let's get a footage here. Let me just click play down. I have it set up so the live views are recorded, at least on my, I think that's maybe only because of the trial. I think they stopped allowing you to do live view recordings automatically. So there's my live view, and again, this will be 720p, and you can see I have the sound option because I can unmute it. But let's walk in front of it and just see how it does. I see the blue light, so it's recording. I see the blue light, so it's recording. And while it's doing that, let me go ahead and go in here and change it to the XR. You can see the thumbnail just updated where it's showing my feet, so that shows me that it did record there. Let me change my settings here to XR Plus. Hit save. Okay, at least at first glance here, this XR Plus mode does not look like it's that much better. It's actually showing a worse connection to the sync module. I picked it up to try to make it a little bit better, but it does not look like it is performing that great, really. Let's see what it does here on refresh. I'm even having trouble connecting to the camera itself. Okay, blue light is on. Alright, so overall, I would say the Blink system is pretty straightforward to use. It is fairly simple. The app does not have a lot of options in there, so it's pretty easy to navigate on my own without really reading instructions, especially once you have the latest and updated app version on your system. But it is very limited also in what it can do. So you really have to look at it on what are your needs and does this meet them. So my personal top favorite camera system I have on my property is the Eufy security system. They just have more capability. I have 1 terabyte hard drive, local storage, no subscription. I'm recording in 4K. A lot of my cameras now are 24/7 recording all the time in addition to motion. All of their AI and motion detect, pet detect that they do is on their HomeBase, which is the equivalent of the sync module there. And I like that one better. The Blink system, I've had issues with it not detecting motion all that well, having issues connecting, especially once I'm not on the subscription plan anymore. So it has its pros and cons, and I have to say that this is not that cheap anymore. I got some of these Blink mini cameras for as low as $5 a piece. I think I probably paid on average probably like $20 a piece for them. And this deal was actually not that bad because I think I got the camera and the sync module together for like $59. So it really wasn't a bad deal, I would say. But if you were to try to get several of these cameras, you're going to spend a few $100s to get it. And I do think there are other options out there that give you better video quality. Maybe you don't get 2 years of battery life out of it, but it's because they allow you to do more things. They might have spotlight LED installed as well, and not just the infrared night vision. So anyway, something to consider. This does work, and I will say that the XR capability is there, and it does give you much longer range than if you have a single Wi-Fi router in your house. This will work further away, but then you lose the quality. So to me, obviously what I do is I have a really good Wi-Fi that goes out in the yard, and then all my cameras can get that, but it's more expensive, right? So if you want something that's cheap, easier to set up, this Blink does it. If you want high quality 4K, great resolution, I would say invest in another system. So thanks for sticking around to the end. Give me that like button, subscribe to my channel, and stick around for more content every week.